China-U.S. trade.
好多人把这个中美啊
In
现
China,
在的这个贸易啊的情况
a lot
和
of
当年
people
美国和日本的贸易这种顺差的情况
have made a comparison between our economic relations with the United States
有5条原因。
and Japan's economic relations with the United States. A lot of people in the United States actually made
前2
such
条都是
comparison.
Summers 说出来的。
The 5
09
differences,
年我到美国来，
among the 5 differences, 2 of them were raised by Larry
他
Summers.
说
When I came to the United States, he told me
当然
that
指的是中美贸易顺差了，
when
和当
talking
年
about
日美不一样。
China-U.S. trade surplus and Japan-U.S. trade surplus back then,
就是说，
some things
是吧？
are different actually.
日本当时
First,
在和美国贸易顺差的时候，
Japan's trade surplus with the U.S. back
高
then,
于和等于美国，
in terms of its manufacturing technologies,
而中国呢，
they were at or
都是这样。
above the level
技术上是
of
低于
technologies in the United States. It is not this case
中国的
when we
制造
talk about China-U.S.
再一
trade.
个呢，
Chinese
当时
technologies
美
are
国的
lagging
第二条
behind
美国
the
的
United
消费者
States.
都能够
Second,
明确地记住
back
日
then,
本
American consumers
品牌
could well remember those Japanese brand names such as Nissan, Toyota, and
等
Sony,
等。
and so on.
他说美国的消费者
But for the American consumers, they could not remember too many Chinese brand
只
names.
能记住个中国制造。
The only thing they could remember about Chinese products is that they are made in China.
啊
The
这是
third
日
difference-
本的日本央行的负责人听
Actually,
说了
this was
3有
told
这前2条
to me by
他又加了一条
the central bank governor of Japan. He added this third difference upon hearing the 2 differences mentioned by Larry Summers. He told me that in the Japanese-American
是
trade
由日本
surplus,
企业制造，
most of the surplus was contributed by Japanese
而
companies
中国
solely.
中国
But it is a different story in China-U.S.
到美国
surplus.
的产品是跨
More
国
than
公司，包括
60%
美
of
国
our
在内
surplus
欧洲
with the
日本
United States
跨国
is
公司
contributed
在
by
中国加
foreign
工
invested companies or multinationals from
然后
US,
再到
from Europe, from
美国
Japan. The
所以
products
最近呢，也有专家说，
are
从这
simply
条来讲
processed in China and then
说是
exported
中国
to the
制造
United States. That is why
不如说
recently
世
some
界创
experts
造在
say
中国
that
制造
it is
也就是
better
说，中
to
国现在
say that
对
products
美
are
国的贸易
created in the world but only made in
相当大
China.
一块，
That is to say,
加工贸易产品
a large part of our
核心部件
surplus with the U.S.
主要来自于发
comes
达国家
from processing trade, and the core
比如说，
components
就这个
of those
苹果出的这个
exports
iPhone
come from developed countries. Take
可以
the
说
iPhone
啊
of
几
the
百美
Apple
元的
company
成本，
as an example.
对吧？在中国
It sells several $100
但是
each,
呢，最后呢，叫
but
做
only
苹果创造，中国制造。
$30 or $40 were actually
第
created
4条
in terms of value added in China. So it was better to describe the Apple products as created in the United States but only made in China. And the 4th difference between Japan-US surplus and China-US
基本
surplus
上没有
is that
高技术产品，
the United States
对吧？禁止出口，也就是
did
说，
not
日本
have
人在
an
美
export
国
control
买什么
vis-a-vis Japan.
包括买
That
苹
is
果
to say, it is possible for the Japanese to buy virtually anything from the United States, including planes, cannons, and warships. But this is
就是
not
美国
possible
拥有
for
的很多
China.
产品，刚才
Many of the
刚才
American
台长说了
products,
是因
as
为
mentioned by Secretary Geithner just now,
这个安全的原因
because of security reasons,
给中国。
could not be exported
在中国
to
的人民
China.
来看呢，就是说，
And for the
你
Chinese people,
贸易不平衡，反过来呢，你呢指责是我的汇率。
when we look at the trade balance issue with the United States, the Americans are complaining about our exchange rate. And the Chinese people are saying that this is because you have your good stuff, but you will not sell them to us. So this is the 4th difference.
一
And
个很不公平
on
的
top of
就是
this, there is
现在我们
another
已
difference,
经
the
是
5th
世界
difference.
第2大贸易国呀，
Now China is the world's 2nd largest trading country.
啊，在这样的情况下，
Well,
美国不
actually,
承认我
the
们
first the largest trading country. But even so, the U.S. has yet to recognize China as a market economy. Not even the United States, the Europeans, the Japanese, they have yet to recognize China as a market economy. But back in the days when Japan was running a surplus to you recognized Japan as a market economy long before.
一想